Today we're going to work on Infer and Generalize. These are literature skills that we're working on. We do also infer and generalize when we have informational text, but right now we're specifically looking, how do I do this when I'm looking at literature, at a story, at possibly something that's fiction. We are working in our reading notes, our 5th grade reading notes, and we are on page 16. So on page 16, let's take a look at what these skills are that we're looking at. So infer and generalize in literature. The skills that we need that are secure in 5th grade. Use information in the text to explain the explicit meaning of the text and draw inferences and predictions. We also need to know how to use information in the text to draw generalizations and quote accurately from the text to support explanations, inferences, and generalizations. So you need to be able to say, here's what's in the story, and I understand it. You need to be able to say, because this is in the story, I then know these other things. And then you also need to be able to say, because this is in the story, in general, I know something is true. And from that, we need to quote accurately from the text to support those explanations. And we're going to do this a lot in 5th grade, where you're looking at the text and you're saying, because of this piece of information, I then know these things. And we'll put those in quotation marks. So our vocab here, quotation. In a story, it's the words that the character says. A quote is directly copying any part of the text when writing about it. And again, we're going to do this a lot in 5th grade, copying right out of the text, but just little pieces to help us explain what we understand. Inference, it's an idea about the meaning of the text that is figured out from the text evidence and the reader's experience. So inference equals background knowledge plus text clues. So what's on the page plus what I already know in my head, that's what helps me figure it out. And then generalize, a broad statement of something that is true most of the time. So you're making a generalization. It does not mean it's 100% never false. It means most of the time this is true. There might be exceptions. So we infer and make generalizations when there are details in a story that help us understand what is not being directly stated in the text. Both what is in the text and what we know about life is put together like a puzzle to make an inference or read between the lines. So we're going to use this mini story to answer the question. The question is, who is the narrator and what are they doing today? So that's what we need to figure out. Here's the example. Today it feels like the hottest day of the year. All I want to do is watch TV right next to the air conditioner, but Mom thinks that I should be helping in the vegetable garden. I toss my helmet and elbow pads in the mudroom and head outside. So we need to look for text clues and then what we know about life to infer our answer so that we can say who's the narrator and what are they doing today. So the first thing I'm going to look for are my text clues, and as I'm looking here, the first thing that jumps up at me is this Mom thinks. That's going to give me a clue about who the narrator is, because usually when we're thinking about moms, it's probably a kid. I have a mom, but she doesn't need to tell me to help in the vegetable garden. I'm going to tell my own children to help in the vegetable garden. So then let's see, what else do I have here that I can then end up putting over in these text clues? So the kids ask Mom what to do. So I'm seeing this, and I had it backwards. My background knowledge is that I know that kids do what moms ask. I know that all kids are doing what their mom asks. That is happening. But my text clues is Mom thinks. And then I also have the part about the vegetable garden, which gives me what is Mom asking for help for. But then to figure out what they were doing today, I also have this part about the helmet and elbow pads and head outside, because this child is definitely listening to his mom. My background knowledge is about knowing that kids do, and I also know that pads like helmet and elbow pads are good for skateboarding, so that's a possibility. This kid might have been skateboarding. There's other things that you could use a helmet and elbow pads for. There's other sports. You could use that for biking, but I would think more commonly rollerblading would be another one. So those would all be good inferences. So my inference, when I put this together, what's right here in the text, which goes into text clues, and then my background knowledge, when I put all of that together, I'm saying that the narrator is a child that will help in the vegetable garden after skateboarding. So it answers the question, who's the narrator? So look at this POQ. I use part of the question to start off my answer. The narrator, and I need to say that's who they are. So the narrator is a child, answer that part. And what were they doing? Helping in the vegetable garden after skateboarding. So make sure that you have this all written down in your puzzle pieces. So then the next part, second question. Who is Red and how does that affect how he feels about being home alone? Here's our mini story. Red paced back and forth. When would they be home? He was sure that it looked like they were just going to be gone for a few hours. Now is when they should walk in the door. He hears the sound of children outside. Oh, good, they're back. Red wags his tail and dances around the boys as they walk in the door. Now he can play with them and run outside. So I want you to go ahead, underline or highlight in here, what are the clues that help us figure out who's Red and how does that affect how he feels about being home alone? So I have here in the beginning that Red was pacing back and forth, but then when the children get home, he wags his tail. So these are some clues that I should put over into text clues. So there we go. It can just be simple. Paced, wags tail. Those are my clues. That's what I'm putting in. So now I need to add in my background knowledge. What do I know? Well, I know that when people are anxious, they walk around. I also know that people don't have tails, but dogs have tails, and dogs can also pace back and forth when they're worried and get excited when people come home. So I can just put it right here in background knowledge. Dogs love their humans and wag their tails. So then I can put this all together in my answer. My question is, who is Red? So I need to start with Red because that's who I'm saying. Who is Red and how does that affect how he feels about being home alone? Red is a dog that misses his humans when he is home alone. And that's shown by the pacing back and forth. And we are now done for today.